Hi, this is the Nature Guy talking to you today about oyster catchers. I have been very fortunate to be able to observe both species of oyster catchers. One lives on the rocky Pacific coast, the other lives on the more sandy beaches and sandbars of the Atlantic coast. So on the Atlantic coast, we have what is called the American oyster catcher. It's a black head with a bright orange bill and yellow eyes, and then its body is kind of a blackish brown and white underneath. These are really striking birds. American oyster catchers are often found in small groups. The other type of oyster catcher is on the Pacific coast, in more rocky areas, and is usually tied to the intertidal zone of those rocky coastlines. This is the black oyster catcher. And you can see it kind of matches its name pretty well. It's all black, but it still has that bright orange bill and yellow eye. Now, oyster catchers get their name from the fact that they can eat oysters and clams. Now, you know it's hard to get into a living clam or an oyster, but these guys have interesting bills that allow them to do it. First of all, the bill is very, very thin at the end. It starts out pretty broad, so it's a strong bill, but the end is very thin, and that can be slipped in between the two shells of a bivalve. And the upper mandible, the upper edge of the upper mandible, is actually quite sharp. And so they can cut through the abductor muscle in the clam or oyster, and then the shell opens very easy. That abductor muscle is the muscle that the clam uses to clamp the shell tightly. This allows them to get into the meat inside of the oyster and eat it. Oftentimes you hear the oyster catchers before you see them, because when they're flying around, they're often making a lot of sound. In fact, to me it kind of sounds like they're screaming like the sky is falling, like there's something horrible happening. Really, they're just defending their territories, but they do so in a very energetic way. Here's an American oyster catcher. And this is the similar flight call from a black oyster catcher. You see what I mean? It sounds like they're in a panic all the time. These oyster catchers kind of remind me of that old fable about the boy who cried wolf. The story goes that he would always sort of scare the shepherds by saying, "Oh, there's a wolf," when there really wasn't one. And eventually the shepherds started ignoring him. But then one day when there was a wolf, and he did say, "Watch out for the wolf," but sadly they didn't listen to him. So I think we should always make sure we're telling the truth so that people don't start believing us and then miss something really important we might have to say someday. A good lesson from the oyster catchers. That's it for this week. See you next time. Bye.